first couple of times I heard, if I love you,
I'll sin
for you.
That's what I heard,
And I was saying, oh my God, this is so
I
beautiful.
love it, yes.
I had the same feeling the first time, but no, it's about Mother Earth.
Mother Earth.
It's Mother Earth.
Yeah.
If I love you,
I'll sing for you.
I'll give you.
Yeah.
But how beautiful you were in the shuf and Mother Earth was holding you. And
beautiful,
you
beautiful.
Felt all
I used to think of myself as a city boy, 100% city boy. So when, with my friends, we bought a huge plot of land because it was cheaper than a square meter of carpet.
Of your carpet. Beautiful carpet.
Of any carpet.
Any carpet.
No, it was, they started building, and I said, if I don't build with them, they have mobilized everything, and the land is very hard to reach. I said, if I don't start building with them, I will never build it. So I said, okay, build a small house. COVID came. We were looking for a place to breathe. Went to the mountain house, and discovered, Lord and behold, I'm a nature boy.
The best gift.
Got a dog, started planting.
Oh my goodness.
Started pruning the trees, walking long walks in nature, and the rest was history.
Great.
Hence, Madre Tierra.
Madre Tierra.
Beautiful.
Well, hello and welcome to Forward Moves, a conversation hosted by Lina, Nahhas and Haddad about the successful journey of our guests and their path toward that success. Hello, Mohammad Maktabi. How are you?
Hi, Raja. Hi, Lina.
Hi.
I'm good. Thank
We
you.
are thrilled to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. For our listeners and viewers, Mohammad Maktabi is a visionary entrepreneur and the driving force behind Iwan Maktabi, a company known for its innovative approach in the design industry. A third-generation Maktabi, Mo's dedication to craftsmanship and bold design has earned him a well-deserved reputation as a leader in the field. Under his guidance, Iwan Maktabi has not only revolutionized the way we view modern interior aesthetics, but has also become synonymous with quality and creativity. From pushing the boundaries of design to fostering sustainable practices in his business, Mohammed's journey is one of passion, innovation, and dedication. He has been vocal about the importance of sustainability in design, pushing Iwan Maktabi to adopt eco-friendly materials and ethical manufacturing practices, reflecting his vision for a more responsible industry. Mo has positioned himself as a leading figure in the UAE's growing design scene, contributing to the development of local and regional design culture through collaborations, events, and partnership with other industry leaders.
Wow.
When you put it all like this,
It's inspiring. I was going to say impressive, but it's inspiring.
I actually like to always hear what the listener hears from this, like you, especially that it's about you. You said, wow, and what's hearing it, what came to you? What was...
I started with my father, with the family business when I was quite young, at the age of 16. So now I'm much older, I'm 56, and so yes, I've done a lot, and we achieved a lot, me and my siblings. But when you put them all together and you see, yes, we did.
Yeah.
So you don't always see the bigger picture or how you reached there. But yes, when you sit and you listen and see, wow. So there is the passing of time. There is the advantage of being a third generation. So I think we already had an advantage when we started. And there was I think my parents instilled somehow the passion or the dedication, somehow.
Do you feel that you said at 16, and even at 16 now that you can see that there's the passion, and maybe, after all this beautiful storytelling of your chronology in your life, but at 16, did you have that passion? Was it there, or did you just discover it along the way?
Look, I think there is when you are young, you're very close to you're attached to your parents and you admire them. So when I was 3 years old, I would enter the room, my father would say, "Ija wali al-ahd." Here comes the heir apparent.
Yes.
Okay, I was the only son with five sisters. That being said, but when he opened Iwan Maktabi, he opened it for my sisters. He didn't open it for
Not
his
for you.
son.
But you were with the family business back then.
Yes.
With the bigger family business.
So, but I was already earmarked as,
Right.
taking the torch bearer. My psychologist told me then, oof, what a pressure at 3 years already.
Such a burden.
Oh,
I didn't see it this way, but she told me, do you think it's normal for a 3-year-old to have already this burden? I said, so whatever, it worked somehow. When I finished my studies in Switzerland and went working for a bank, I said, what am I doing? Am I crazy? I finished, I closed the door and went.
Was it not as much fun? I mean, what took you back to that?
You see, when I was at the age of 21 and finished my studies and started working for a bank in Switzerland, I was already, established client base, and I was already traveling between countries to attend to clients. So I already had evolved so much in the family business, and it's exciting. They give you responsibilities, and you are achieving things. So I'm gonna start at the lower ranks of a bank and just climb the corporate ladder.
That's not gonna make it. But I'm interested in, I know how it all started. You told me that you took a sabbatical from the family business to help your sister structure Iwan that your father created for them. But I'm interested in, where did it all start? That visionary Mohamed. I know you're also an avid art collector. You appreciate all things beautiful. You collect rare items. So all this, what was the spark?
I think we are a product of our education
And environment.
So, as I said, the huge influence was for sure, it was my father and my mother. Mm-hmm. That's for sure. My mother was a big aesthete. She loved beautiful things. She would go antique hunting and stuff like that. My father was passionate about Islamic art. He was curious. Mm-hmm. Every time he would see something, he would, when we were kids, he would say, every city we go to, he said, we have to go and visit all the museums. Mm. Mm. Even if he sent us his, don't go shopping, go to the museum.
Go to that museum, yeah.
So he was curious, and he kind of instilled this in us, I think. And then being surrounded with beautiful things, I think it kind of helped. And you have also a natural inclination.
Of course. Yeah.
I think there is something that has to be a natural inclination.
Otherwise, it wouldn't have sustained for so long, or you wouldn't have.
I have. Not all my siblings are into art. Some of them are. Not all my cousins who were with us in the business are passionate like me. So I guess there is a natural inclination.
Yet they were exposed to the same environment as you, right? Mm-hmm. But you picked up that and moved on for it. And I think what is peculiar as well is that inclination of blending what is considered as a traditional craftsmanship, carpet weaving. It's been there forever. With modern lifestyle, modern design, contemporary design, let's say. So what is it that drives you to bring these two worlds? What drives you to do that?
When you get closer to the craft and you know what really the craft is all about, you have to move to relevance in order to sustain. When my grandfather started, he was trading carpets. I saw even a letter where he was ordering carpets from Iran, where he immigrated from to Beirut. And he was ordering, carpets were a commodity. So we're saying, Kashan, grade E, this standard size, this color. So this is how he was ordering carpets. My father was more interested in tribal carpets than in city carpets. So it was already, there was some, some uniqueness to his taste.
Differentiation than what is done. Yeah.
And he liked esoteric carpets, carpets that have some sort of mystical or quasi, not religious, but spiritual. So, and then when I started in the business and we started going to producers, and you discover these weavers that are sitting and weaving, and they have learned from their mother or father and had learned. So you discover that, first of all, it's an age-old craft that existed for millennia. And then if you are aware of what these people are doing, is they are keeping something, a hand movement and a knowledge that if they don't continue it will wither away.
Yeah.
So with a world that's always moving and a generation going, maybe refusing what the old generation was treasuring and adopting new values or new trends or new aesthetics, if you are not relevant and if they are still making the same carpet that their great-grandparents were doing, maybe they will simply
disappear.
I have a friend who told me something. He said, you are a forward-thinking brand, and a forward-thinking brand that is that wants to keep traditions, not by preserving the ashes, but by keeping the fire alive.
I love that. So your grandfather was like the commodity. Your father started bringing in already some level of identity and fingerprint through his preferences. What was yours? What was the fire behind that one specifically?
I think, you see, you don't exist by yourself. You exist, again, you exist in an ongoing lineage. So when my father wanted to open this store for my two sisters, called it Iwan, he researched exactly why it should be called Iwan and nothing else but Iwan. And the decor of the shop was different than the usual carpet shops. And it was the first time that women actually are doing in charge of a carpet store,
which was
already a breaking.
So in 1995, all the Maktabi family, and we have many branches all in carpet. The girls would never touch the business. So my sisters were the first, and people would tell him, Haj Abbas, really? Do you want your sisters your daughters to work? He said, of course. So he's already visionary.
Wow.
Instead of going with what was the prevalent taste back then, which was these traditional city carpets, he said, no, I love tribal carpets. Whenever I travel to tribes and villages, this is the carpets that I like, and he dedicated the shop for this. So you already you have something you want to continue, and the biggest thing is the reaction of the clients.
The clients or the family?
No, I'm saying so when my father started the nucleus of Iwan, the reaction of the clients were like, they were avid. They said, where have you been hiding? This is what we want.
So different.
Very positive reaction.
The novelty. Is it the novelty of it?
It's basically, so it was something that they needed, but they couldn't manifest it in words. And then they saw Iwan Maktabi, and they were all coming, saying, oh, I want this carpet, I want this carpet, oh, I like this, I like this. So it was immediate. It was an immediate success.
And you said that your father researched the word Iwan, and if I remember well, it has a specific meaning related to the Shah's court.
Our family is of Persian origins, and then they emigrated to Lebanon. The Iwan is the throne room of Khosrow, the Persian Shah, that was filled with his treasures and his carpets. And it was when Arab invaders invaded Ctesiphon, the capital of Khosrow. They ransacked his Iwan and took back the treasures in his throne room, which were mainly, the biggest treasure was a huge, supposedly mythical, huge carpet covering all the walls, and it was woven and covered with gold, with precious stones. So they cut it and they took it back home, and the Buhturi 100 years later wrote in his poems about the spring of Khosrow, this magnificent carpet that was hanging on the walls of the Shah's palace. So the Iwan was the intersection between Arab civilization and Persian civilization. A little bit like our family, from origins of Persia to the Middle East.
What you're doing, you are preserving this craftsmanship, as we have said before. You are celebrating that talent that if it's not celebrated, it will just disappear. But you are establishing a new I don't want to use the word trend. We talked about how abusive the word trend is, right? You're establishing a different lifestyle, different design direction that wasn't heard of. So the question is this based on this duality that the family, the
look,
brand
there is
lived?
duality in every one of us, I think. And today, in this modern life we live with, you see how many different hats, how many different personalities we wear. I think it's become standard staple in everybody's personality. But instead of following fleeting trends, I feel if you commit to your core values, which are seeped in tradition and craft, I think this is how, from being very true, you can transcend and become very different. The deeper you go into the now, the deeper you go into the real core of what the craft is, or what is it exactly you are doing by promoting this craft, you'll get these answers. And not necessarily by being provocative or by saying, I want just to be different for the sake of being different.
Yeah, what I meant by provocative is, provocative in the sense of changing established paradigms, not necessarily for being just, for the sake of being. Sometimes people feel comfortable in their comfort zone and, they set a specific box and boundary. And then if you start pushing that, say, why are you doing that? You're being provocative, you're being controversial, but that's not the sense of it.
I think an open mind, and from my experience, I think there is power in collaboration. And this opens new doors that are not. So instead of being cast in rigidity, I think this is at least my experience in Iwan, is when we opened the door to collaborating with other designers, it kind of opened up for us these new ways of discovering new visual languages who other designers, collaborators, or artists who never worked in carpets brought to the table, and it kind of elevated and broke new frontiers.
And it's the same theme as your good father also had. I mean, like, what you said also really touched me, because instead of duality, what I heard is the layering when you're deep in your essence and the roots are there. It's like a trampoline. The more you're on it, the more it springs you upwards towards something else.
Nice image.
So that's what I felt like. I felt like, you're very much rooted in this, and the more you're rooted in it and you know what you are, rather than the trend, the trampoline on its own, because of your essence, will create the layering stories. Like your father looked at the nuances and the stories elevated into then your sisters coming along, then the collaboration. So it's almost like a natural evolution when you're just aware.
This jumping on the trampoline is basically repeating the same impact over and over again. One of my first clients in Iwan, the first little shop that we opened, who became my mentor, who is a big Sufi and a big meditator. He would keep repeating things to me. I say, doctor, he's a doctor in economics. I say, doctor, stop repeating this. I said, Mohammad, you see dyeing process, how it works. Natural dyes, which is also a process in carpet making. We need to dye the wool, natural dyes. He said, you have to dye the carpet in the same vat, put it in the sun, dye it, and put it in the sun many times until the color sticks.
Yes.
So there is the power of repetition.
Exactly.
Yes. The power of
mastering.
A little bit like your 5 rhythms.
Yes, it's mastering.
You keep repeating, and you get nothing until...
That's the dervish dance, isn't it? It's kind of the repetition is the mastery. And it's not necessarily that the repetition is the old and dated. It's actually the repetition is the mastery.
But you create movement and traction.
Yeah.
By repeating the same movement, you have traction, and this is what kind of
and something
makes
else emerges, and something else flowers out.
So
yes,
bringing it back to what we were saying is a little bit that is just getting deeper, knowing your craft more, and keep your eyes open. I think it open new doors.
Will open. It's like a meditation again.
We have a section in our show where we reach out to friends, and we ask them to contribute with questions. We have a question that I would love to play for you, if you don't mind.
My dear Mo, I know you've been working hard and you've done amazing things lately, and in the last few years. I would want to ask you if your dad was to be here today and see what you have done and what you have achieved and the kind of collaborations you have done, how would he feel? How would he look at these collaboration and this kind of expenditure of your business? Would he have stayed? Would he have wanted you to stay in the classic way of doing things, or would he support you on what you have done today?
Wow, that's Nadine. She was the first person on your podcast, by the way. She's a very dear friend. She's a childhood friend. We were together in school. So it's funny about her question because we were already talking about my father, but and I have the answer with me because it already happened when he was alive. I'll tell you this beautiful story. We were there's a tribe on the Mississippi of women who they have a tradition when their husband dies, they take all his clothes and make a patchwork quilt from it, and they to cover themselves and the children for protection. From this, and the tribe was called Gee's Bend. So these are the quilts of the Gee's Bend because this was the name of the bend in the Mississippi River. Inspired from the Gee's Bend quilts, an American company worked with a Turkish carpet producer to bring precious old carpets nobody wants, or that they have some damages, to cut them and make beautiful patchwork quilt-like carpets. The maker tells me, Mohamed, you have to. So I don't claim the full
ownership of that idea.
Ownership, no. But I was there when they were. From the onset of the creation, he said, you have to show this in Lebanon. Only you can show this in Lebanon. So anyway, we showed them, and it was a huge success. Fast forward, we are 4 years into patchwork production. We already improved on it, and it's doing super well. It's our bestseller. My father comes with me to Istanbul. So 2000s, I go with my father and his health wasn't that good, but he was still traveling. He comes with me to Istanbul. And first, where do I go? To the production place of Patchwork. He comes very energetic. He says, what is this? I said, what is this? This is an old damaged carpet cut up and brought to
put
pieces.
together.
I told him, Dad, but we are selling so much from it. He said, you're selling? You sure? I said, Dad, this is our best-selling product. He said, good for you, my son. Continue. I'm going to see antique carpets in the bazaar. Continue. See you later.
So you had your answer.
So Nadine had her answer.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So was he initially was it like an offensive jolt to his system, or?
Yes. So in the beginning, yes, I could see it. So, I said, oh my God.
What is Mohamed doing?
Houston, we have a problem.
Exactly.
We have a problem.
But here are the books. Okay, carry on.
Okay.
I'll go enjoy the other.
I trust you. It's good.
That's beautiful.
It must be something. It must be something good. Yeah. I think I have another question. We touched upon that a little bit. It's this blend of tradition and modern contemporary trends. And I know you and I talked about trends and what is trendy, and we said, say, today's hashtag is tomorrow's yesterday's hashtag. So it took us a few minutes to get the order right. But let me play this question again and see.
Okay.
Hi, Mohamed. How are you? Actually, I have this question for you. How did you successfully adapt a 3-generation family business to meet the demands of the modern market while balancing creativity and contemporary trends? What was the process like, and what challenges do you face in moving forward?
This is Samer. Samer Yamani is a very good friend that I had the good luck to work with him on a few projects. So his question again touches on how you evolve and
what keeps you moving forward by blending two seemingly, different directions.
So I think we touched on it. I think what really helped was this being close to the design scene in Beirut and collaborating with them and listening to what they need, but also inviting them to design for us some collections. And, you know, it was, in the beginning, it was extremely daunting, you know, to design, to have the temerity to say, yes, okay, I'm going to design a collection. But then when you see that you are actually good at it, and then you see how it's perceived and how it was a baby, and then you sent it into the world, and then people are, you know, they see in it what you see in it, or sometimes they see something completely different, but they are buying into it and they are happy that it is in their home. It is affecting their space where they live in a positive way. So you kind of build more strength to collaborate more and create more. So collaborations, working with design curators such as Samer, I think doing some international fairs and regional fairs. I think this all helped us to have our ears always close to the ground and to be able to know what the markets need.
But truth to be told, also, you challenged existing paradigms. You pushed the boundaries. Like the collaborations you have done were with different artists who, at first sight, you will not associate with weaving carpets. And this takes a lot of courage and guts to do.
And creativity and innovation.
It's also persistence.
Yeah.
It's persistence, you know. When, for example, we did this cultural project for Expo with Samer, and the brief for the project was like, I mean, it was like Chinese to me. Chinese. So they said, we want to tell the story of two crafts in the UAE. A craft of weaving by men, who weave the fishnet, and the craft of women, hand weaving by women who weave the sadu. And you have to tell it with collaboration with an artist from Spain who does data visualization and use sustainable material into a carpet.
Oh my God, I'm already dizzy listening to that.
There's already 6 elements.
So imagine me listening to this brief. I said, no.
What a challenge.
No. There was a lot of help but this is the power of collaborating. So Samer was the curator, Edouard Cabet was the artist. So when you sit and it was COVID. We sit on Zooms, and then this brief that means nothing suddenly starts making sense, and then, you know, things appear. So I looked for groundbreaking sustainable material taken from harvested nylon from the seas, from the fishnets.
Okay.
And that was turned by an Italian company into a material that can be used into carpet. So we had the sustainable material.
The circular economy.
The Edouard Cabet, the artist, he did from the movement of the fingers of the man and the woman who were weaving. We took videos for him. He made a design.
Digital. Wow.
Because he's a data visualization artist. I wove one design in a carpet, sent the carpet to Spain. We used the robot to draw the other design with the robot hand. And now the carpet is in the permanent collection of the museum. So yes.
What a creative process this was.
So, persistence.
And curiosity.
And the persistence.
Yeah. And being open-minded, never saying no. Just don't say no and close the door.
You got definitely inspired by the others, but what's fascinating in your story that's very different from everything you've said is that you got your hands in it, right? In the actual creative process, not just from a mental point of view, but actually, literally, in creating. You almost became a weaver alongside.
Almost,
but
because,
didn't.
Because I have to admit that I found weaving to be extremely strenuous endeavor. So I have full respect for the weavers who sit day in, day out facing a loom and just
It's almost
But you wove
meditative.
You wove the
Yeah.
concept in. When you looked for that fishnet, you found it. That you wove it in. So it wasn't pre-woven from before. And there's an element of real deep creative output in this.
Weave stories. I definitely
Yes.
weave stories, for sure.
Yeah.
Story weaver. I wanted to say, dream weaver, but
Story
story
weaver.
weaver is better. Yeah. But that brings me to a question, Mohamed, and more about Mohamed, not Mohamed Iwan. Is what you gave here is an example of a difficult brief, right? But I'm sure throughout your career, when you have this vision and you want to push it forward, and push it forward may be aggressive as a term, but you certainly face setbacks or pushbacks through that. What are the philosophies and practices that you, Mohamed, as a person, resort to in order to keep on pushing forward?
Can I ask a question before that feeds into this? May I interrupt?
Sure.
Of course you may. Yeah.
Have you faced? He'll put it back in the order. But what was your biggest challenge in pushing forward? Because so far everything you've given had the persistence, the history, the weaving.
We had challenges. Trust me, we had challenges.
But what was the biggest one? And then from there, what was your
don't forget you have to answer my question as well.
Well, from there, what was the tools
So I
that you
think challenges that we had.
Just curious.
I think being in Lebanon, while it was one of the biggest gifts, it was also the biggest challenges, because we would always, Lebanon is my home. Beirut is my hometown. I adore it. It's a small society filled with creatives. So when you shine bright because it's a small town. But when we shine, it's not a demerit because there's a lot of creatives. So, you know what I mean?
You have to prove it.
You have to prove it, but you can prove it. You can make your mark. But then every 10 years or 8 years, we had a war, we had an assassination, we had something, and you had to go down. And then we would build back up again super fast. And but these were the challenges. So every time you stand up,
you have to rise up again. Yeah,
every time. Yeah. And this we used to say resilience until the last time we had literally a big bang, a big explosion, and I told my friends, please stop saying resilience because this is becoming stupidity. Because if I tell you every time you're going to open this door, you're going to get slapped, and you keep opening the door.
That's not resilience.
It's not resilience, really. So there is a thin line between, maybe that was personal for me. It was what do you call this? The hay that broke the camel's back. Yeah. So now I live between two cities. I live between Beirut, my hometown, that I never thought that I would leave, and between Dubai, which I learned to love, appreciate, and admire.
But you certainly use, or you believe in certain philosophies and practices that you find not refuge, but a source of resourcing. You mentioned earlier, we talked earlier about the dance of the dervish, the mysticism of the Sufi philosophy. Even the weaving of carpet is meditative, almost therapeutic, by its meticulous movement of persistent focus. What is yours, if there is one?
I mean, look, there definitely, in our life journey, we always discover things. So we discover them. Some people are luckier than others. They discover them early. Sometimes they are born with them. I think accepting where the person facing you, that he is in this place in his path of life. Accepting and not judging, suddenly it just removes a lot of the
animosity,
preconceived ideas, or so you just accept,
or judgment,
and this is it's difficult because you say, stop judging me. I said, what does even judging mean? I mean, I am a human being. We live in a democracy. I'm entitled to my opinion. But what does judging mean as opposed to having your opinion? So you have to differentiate. And then this suddenly becomes a big topic where you accept that everyone has his path and they are at this level of their path.
Yeah.
And if you accept it, but it's difficult always. Don't think it's easy.
No, it's not. And it took me a long time to learn that I've always thought I can change people's behavior to fit my understanding of how that behavior should be. And it took me a long time to learn how to accept that the only thing that can change in this relationship is my
your
lens.
perception,
reaction
how
to
you
that
react.
behavior.
That's it.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that's a
But it took
sign of
time.
maturity,
Yeah.
isn't it? That's the wisdom that comes through. And going back just to you on that level, I also see that trend, even just hearing about your dad and how he's accepting of a new way and adding a new way, and you're accepting of collaborations, looking at different things, accepting of the most challenging brief. It feels also quite unique to you as well and your lineage, if you don't mind me reflecting back at you, because not everybody has that. And it takes that level of bigger mind and wisdom and discernment and awareness.
We talked about awareness
And
at some
even
point.
maybe DNA and genetics. You know?
Look, you see, sometimes you are born and you are prone to having good humor, or you are prone to being morose and depressive.
Yes.
So
Yes.
this is already something
in
you
your-
are born
in your-
born with.
Yes.
So we also have to see that. But nothing is. We have to understand that nothing. Not we have to understand. I think we have to be conscious that nothing is easy in life. I remember this. I don't know if I know it correctly. I read it in a book where they asked the Buddha. So the followers of the Buddha asked him. They asked him. They said, "You tell us always to be on the path, but Master, it's difficult. We always fall off the path. What happens? How? Give us like a trick to be always on the path." He said, "No. There's no trick. You can all fall off the path. The most important is on the last second of your life, you are on the path."
This is beautiful.
But
So is this? It's the most difficult
Yes,
thing.
yeah.
Who knows when
Yes.
is the last moment of one's life?
Wow.
Exactly.
The
But
stumbling.
it brings me to the idea of perseverance, because we talked about resilience, but I think
Persistence.
different word that you also use is persistent. Is a perseverance. I think it has a better meaning than resilient, because resilient can become an excuse. I think, somebody, in my previous life, and I think I may have mentioned that once, told me that that was somebody in Turkey, and Turkey at the time was facing a lot of problems between economic difficulties, terrorist attack, the earthquake, and she told me, and everybody was celebrating the Turkish team's resilience, and she told me, "Raja, not because we carry it so well, the weight is less heavier than what it is."
Ah, nice.
And that stuck with me, and that's a different meaning than resilience.
Yeah.
And what I would love to hear from you, Mohammad. I know that we're going maybe too much into
Yes, we are.
into areas that but what is the one lesson that you learned where you felt that perseverance really came into being?
Is it like?
Or one milestone or one event that we said, this is what it means to be.
It landed.
Yeah.
Like it landed for you.
I have a lot.
We have a lot of time.
No, I'll tell you something. When we opened Iwan Maktabi in Dubai as an outpost 15 years ago, and we were lucky to be in the Dubai Mall when it opened its doors. I was super busy in Beirut, so my sister was taking care of Iwan, and there was no possibility to grow the outpost as big as the original flagship in Beirut and I would always come to Dubai, visit Dubai, go on Jumeirah Beach with my sister and tell her, this is where Iwan needs to exist. 10 years, I was like, this is where I imagine Iwan to be. Not in the mall. The mall was very good. It gave us notoriety. It taught us how to always, to have a great, impeccable service, because
Traffic,
the
footfall,
traffic.
yeah.
So, but when I came 4 years ago and I sat in the mall, I said, I can't. No, I can't. There is this hum. the constant hum, the you know, the noise of the, and then I want to invite a friend. He cannot come, drop by, park his car and come inside. We don't have our name on a main street. We don't have a window. We don't talk to the city. We are inside this box, which is a great box. I said, so we moved. We opened our design lab in Al Sirkal, and this helped. By the way, this helped us be close to the design community and the creative community in a completely new way. Yeah. And I kept looking for the perfect. So even I love Al Sirkal, but it's my design lab. It's not.
It has a specific role.
It's not the flagship store like we have in Beirut that people come inside and see our world and fall in love with it. Until I found, just by persevering, found the spot, brought it down to core and shell, built it, and we opened 3 months ago. We opened Iwan Maktabi flagship store on Jumeirah Beach Street Road.
It took a while.
Yeah, but I also believe that it's when the time is right, things happen.
Yeah.
Because maybe it was not the right time, because I was concentrating on Beirut and I was growing the brand in Beirut. So
of course,
so it happened when it happened. So
all the elements came into place in the right moment and the right time.
That's a good example.
Thank you very much. I want to stretch that point before we wrap up. Your design lab in Al Sirkal is the meeting point with the design and creative community, which birthed something that you love saying a lot of collaborative work, which are amazing. One of them is, I showed you, is sitting in my home in Switzerland. The work you have done with Nadine.
Nadine Council's
do you see and here I'm really stretching the idea, do you see your flagship on Jumeirah Beach Road as something evolving beyond just a flagship commercial space? Could it be a place where community comes and meet around design, as the design lab of Al Sirkal meeting, where the creative community come and meet around an idea? Do you see that place?
Of course, because the space is big enough. We imagine, because we like always to reach out to communities around us. So I definitely think it will become this, because this is who we are.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I'm asking you the question, because the follow-up is that, do you see a role for Iwan Maktabi becoming a mentor, or I don't want to say sponsor, but a champion of design trends, a word that you hate a lot, but of moving forward, because there are talent in this region and there are resources, but they're not brought forward enough.
There's definitely talent. We have an initiative that we started a few years back called Terminal G, which is Terminal Gulf. And terminal because it's an airport terminal. So the initiative is to travel to all the countries in the Gulf region and the Middle East, and to discover new talent and collaborate and create. I hope we'll always be able to do that.
Excellent.
The offering in the showroom is quite large. So you see antique carpets, you see museum quality carpet, but you see contemporary design, and you see collectible design carpets. So you see a lot of things. So definitely, if you are attuned, it will spark this creativity in you.
You engage with the eclectic world of Iwan Maktabi, and this is what it's all about.
Can I go dance there?
We should.
Is there space?
We could.
That's a good idea. That's a very good idea.
Love that.
Well, until then, thank you very much, Mohamed, for being with us, for taking the time.
It was lovely. Thank you.
For sharing this with us. This has been Forward Moves, hosted by Lina, Nahhas and Raja Haddad, a conversation about the path of the successful journey of Mohammad Maktabi. We've been recording at the Podstar studio in Dubai. Our producer is Zia. If you like our show, give us a 5-star rating, share it with your friend. Until then, keep moving forward.